The silence after the order. The building was still standing. From the outside, nothing looked wrong. The flag waved. The doors opened on time. Security scanned badges like any other morning. But inside, something essential was missing. The halls echoed in a way they never had before, not because they were empty, but because no one was coming back. Thousands of desks sat untouched, coffee cups half-washed, files left exactly where they had been the night before. The justice system hadn't collapsed, it had stepped away. The public first heard about it through alerts on their phones, delays in federal courts, administrative disruptions, temporary staffing issues. The words were calm. The reality was not. Cases froze mid-sentence. Hearings vanished from calendars. Judges stared at empty benches where prosecutors were supposed to stand. No explanation followed, only rumors. The truth began the night before. It arrived quietly, through secure channels, late enough that most people were already asleep. A message marked urgent. It wasn't long. It didn't explain itself. It named 3 people and issued a single instruction: detain immediately. No warrant attached, no charges listed, no evidence included, just authority, naked and unquestioned. Inside the department, phones lit up one by one. Lawyers checked statutes. They checked precedent. They checked each other. Nothing justified the order. Everyone understood what it was asking, not for justice, for obedience. For years they had absorbed pressure, a call asking them to reconsider, a reminder about priorities, a suggestion to delay something inconvenient. They resisted quietly, believing the system could still be held together from inside. But this wasn't pressure. This was a demand to cross the line. The first refusal came without drama, then another, then dozens. Soon hundreds were on secure calls, not arguing, not negotiating, just listening. Someone finally said what everyone was thinking: if we do this, there is no law left to protect. No one disagreed. The response came quickly: comply or be terminated. That was when the choice stopped being complicated. One by one, resignation letters were written. They weren't emotional. They were precise. They cited oaths. They cited constitutions. They cited lines that could not be uncrossed. And then they walked out. Not together, not announced, just gone. By morning, the machinery stalled, not loudly, silently. Environmental cases paused. Fraud investigations evaporated. Labor violations went unanswered. Most people didn't notice at first. They always notice later. A small business owner waited for help against a monopolistic supplier. Nothing happened. A community reported toxic dumping. No response. A worker injured on the job filed a complaint. No callback. The law still existed, on paper, but paper doesn't enforce itself. Replacement came fast. Not experts, not veterans, acting officials, temporary authority. People chosen not for experience, but for alignment. They spoke confidently. They promised efficiency. They smiled into cameras and said the system was being cleaned. Inside, something else was happening. Some cases moved quickly. Others disappeared. Some people were pursued relentlessly. Others became untouchable. Justice hadn't vanished. It had become selective. Markets noticed. They always do. Contracts grew longer. Investors hesitated. Money began looking for safer places to land. Trust, once cracked, leaked fast. No speeches announced it, but the economy felt it. One former prosecutor watched all of this from his kitchen table. Years of service, now unemployed. He didn't regret leaving. He regretted how little stood in the way once people like him were gone. He understood something most people didn't want to face. Institutions are not walls. They are people willing to say no. Weeks passed, then months. The courts still opened. Judges still wore robes. Documents were still stamped and filed. From a distance, it all looked normal. Up close, it felt hollow. A performance without substance. History would not mark this as a dramatic collapse. There would be no single headline saying, "Democracy ends today." Instead, there would be a slow realization that protections once assumed were no longer automatic, that fairness now depended on proximity to power, that silence had become safer than resistance. The most dangerous part wasn't the order itself. It was how easily the system adjusted once the people who resisted were gone. The building remained, the law remained, but the soul of justice, the refusal to serve power over principle, had walked out the door. And when people finally asked when it would return, there was no one left inside to answer.